This is the Real Estate Investing 365 podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing strategies so you can start living the life you want and get where you want to go. With your host, Justin Hanna.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Investing 365. Today I have Rebecca Cramer on here, and she runs Madmen Investments. You can find her on Instagram at Madmen Investments, I believe. Is that right?
Madmen Vacation Rentals.
Oh, I'm sorry. Madmen Vacation Rentals. See, I already messed up. And see, it's not that bad. So anyways, Rebecca, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of background about yourself. And then after that, then we'll dive into the type of investing you do and how you kind of grown that and got your Instagram and social media following going.
All right. Well, thank you, Justin, for having me. This is super exciting. It's been, I have lots of dreams. You'll probably hear this in the podcast. I'm a dreamer. So one of my dreams has been on a podcast. This is my first podcast. So I'm very nervous, but I'm very excited. So thank you so much for having me and letting me share my little story. I hope that I can be an inspiration to someone out there. If I can have, one person do something after this to help, better their life and their future and their families, I would feel really, really happy that I was on here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's not going to be bigger pockets with millions of downloads, but we'll get there. I'll have you back.
I just said one person. All I need is one.
Good. Perfect. Maybe that's all you'll get. So we'll see.
Yeah. So I was, I live in Maryland. I was born and raised in Maryland. I grew up outside of Washington, D.C. and basically growing up, we've always gone to a resort town called Ocean City, Maryland. It's really well known. I know it much better now that I have a vacation rental there because we have people literally coming from all up and down the East Coast, Canada. It's a very popular area, a town, and I grew up going there for just for a summer vacation with my family. We would go to a vacation rental. We pretty much have gone to the same one our entire life, and we still go to the same one to this day, just because the price is right for our family and it can hold us all. So, we would always dream about, wouldn't it be cool to buy this place and fix it up and renovate it because it's really outdated. It's literally never been updated since we started going there in the 80s. And so it's always just been a dream to have a beach house because I've always gone to the beach in the summers. And so basically, fast forward to I, grew up, barely graduated high school, to be honest. I wasn't the best student and wasn't really that passionate about school. Dropped out of college literally 5 or 6, maybe 7 times. Finally found a passion in wanting to help people and become a nurse. So I became a nurse, graduated. I started working full-time as a nurse. I rotated shifts, doing 12-hour shifts, rotating nights and weekends and holidays. And that was, I loved it, but it was really, really hard for my, physically. And then I got married and I became pregnant with twins. So that kind of made a huge shift, and the shift turned into basically my dream of becoming a stay-at-home mom, which has always been something I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. That's, when people ask me, what did I want to be when I grew up? That's what I said. I said I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and raise my children. So we were really blessed to be able to do that. So I had the twins. And putting 2 kids in childcare financially just doesn't make any sense. So I stayed home with them. And it was awesome. It was a lot of work again. And I realized I needed kind of an outlet to have some stimulation, throughout my day. And so it was kind of at that golden moment when, the kids were finally sleeping through the night. I kind of was able to think again and have a little bit of independence. We were able to go out once in a while. So I'm a runner and I like to run, especially when I'm on vacation. I like to go and explore wherever I'm at. So we're in Ocean City, Maryland on our summer vacation, and I'm running around and I find this adorable neighborhood that I've never noticed before, even though I've gone there my whole life. And I'm running around. I'm like, man, this would be the cutest place to have a vacation rental. It's on the bay side. So Ocean City has a bay side and an ocean side, and it's on the bay side, but it's also, close to the beach. And I wonder what houses go for. So I went and I looked on Zillow, and there was a house that was as close to this is what really got me, is that it was as close to the beach as you possibly can be. So it was literally a 5-minute walk to the beach, but you're still on the bay. And that's just really rare usually it's like a 20-minute walk. You have to get in your car and drive to the ocean if you're on the bay side. And the fact that you could have both the bay and the ocean right there, I was like, oh my gosh, this is, and it was just, it needed a little updates, but I was excited for the opportunity to do a little, to kind of do some updating on the house. And so I saw that it was on the market for almost a year at that point too. And I was like, man, this would be a great, opportunity. Maybe they would take a lowball offer. So that's what we did. I talked to my husband, and, we thought going into it, this would just be something that we would do. We would still have to pay, out of pocket, and maybe we could get our mortgage, paid for halfway or something. So we would still have to pay out of pocket half of it. But if we could get half our mortgage paid, we'd be happy. We could make memories there as a family. And I didn't go into it with the expectation that it would be a business for us. It was more it would just be a place for us to go as a family. And little did I know how much I would just absolutely love, the business side of it. So
So what year was this when you first started looking at this property?
So that was in summer 2017.
Okay, so pretty recently. And part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast is, we'll get into it. And I think you guys have 2 vacation rentals now, but you're really diving in and making this like a business, and it's real fresh in your mind. So you'll be able to, expand on things of, why you did it more clearly than somebody that might've did their first one 10 years ago or something. They're going to forget. So that's part of the reason why I wanted you on the podcast. But another reason is because, like you mentioned, you were a stay-at-home mom, and my wife is a stay-at-home mom. Well, she was primarily that, but then like you know what I mean? Like, it's so much work and you're so consumed, you're just stuck in the house all the time. She kind of needed an outlet as well. So she's really into fitness. And then that's why she got into nutrition coaching and fitness coaching. And we started a gym. You kind of found that love in the real estate game, right? Is that that's what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, once we decided to go for this house, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do my very best at it. I'm going to try really hard to make it successful. So I started listening to all these podcasts. I started reading, but I don't read books actually, because I don't have time to read books as a mom, but I listen to audiobooks. So I listened to all these audiobooks and I, found all these podcasts and, just found people that were doing it really, really well. And I kind of just modeled a lot of the things they were doing while trying to do it, have my own little style to it as well. And that's also right when we bought the house. I think it was literally the day we bought the house, maybe, that we settled, which was in January of 2018, that I started an Instagram page. And, I started a Facebook page a little bit after that, and started basically documenting our journey. Like, hey, look, we just bought this house. We're going to renovate it. Look at it now. This is before, we're gonna, help me figure out what to do. I was asking people's feedback. Should I whitewash the cabinet? Should I just, what should I do with this and that? And slowly but surely, I started getting, a following. I'm not like an influencer or anything like that, but I do, I've used social media and Instagram to help me in a lot of ways. So many ways it's helped me, but I started that right when we bought the house, and that definitely helped when it came time to go live with the property, which we did in March of 2018 after we renovated it, because I basically started saying, hey, I want to get as many people in here as possible. I want to become a superhost as soon as possible, because that's, it helps your rankings when you're in Airbnb to be a superhost. And obviously people trust you more, that you're going to give them a good experience. So I knew that the best way to do that, and I learned, is basically to get as many people in there as soon as possible and give you 5-star reviews. So I started saying right when we went live, $25 a night, come stay with us, and started just trying to get as many people in there. And thankfully, a lot of people started going in there in March, and I started getting lots of good reviews. And I also knew going into it, I had a realtor that helped me, buy the property, and they also know the town and what it can go for when it comes to renting. And I got some estimates on that. And I knew that there was nothing else like it in Ocean City. Obviously there's some good rentals out there and everything, but I knew, the fact that we were walking distance to the beach, but we were on the bay. We had 2 kayaks. We had 2 pools. We had lots of amenities for our guests. We also renovated it in kind of a unique way. A lot of people, when they do renovations for beach houses, they do kind of like a shabby chic cottage type style. And I didn't want to do that. I want to do something different, like more modern, which is why we have the Mad Men name. If for those of you that wonder why our name is Mad Men, it's from the show Mad Men. At that time, I just finished watching the series, and I absolutely loved it. I love the aesthetics of it. I love the mid-century modern, decor and stuff. And so I decided I'm going to do mid-century modern decor. I'm going to call it Mad Men Beach House, not thinking it would end, like I said, be a whole business in itself when we get into their property or anything. So yeah.
Real quick. So when you decided to buy this beach house, the only reason you kind of knew about vacation rentals is because as you were growing up, you guys would go rent a house in Ocean City for your family vacations, and you thought, hey, that would be cool and something that I could do in the future too. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then you decided you went there on vacation, you were running around, and you found this house that had been on the market for a year. And in 2017, really, that was kind of rare because stuff is going crazy or whatever. Did you start doing your research of learning about vacation rentals before that? Or you kind of found the house and you're like, well, this would be awesome. Let me start learning now how to do this.
Yeah, I basically just started learning then. We got the house at a really good price. I don't know why I just said, let's do a low ball offer and just see what happens. It's been on the market. We got the house way under asking, way under market value. And then I just started looking up. I found Bigger Pockets. I found these other podcasts that, there's another podcast that's called Get Paid for Your Pad. There's another podcast that's called Unlocked that is all about vacation rentals. And I just started learning from the best in the business and realized I could do what they're doing. I can just, what they're doing is not that hard. I can do it too. And a lot of it comes down to, I have a lot of people ask me how easy is it, how much time it takes, and how much time I work on it. But I think it's you can't just buy a vacation rental in some resort town and think it's going to be successful and not put a lot of work and effort into it. And you also have to make it a style and renovate it in a way that people want. Because if you're just look like everything else out there, then it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be as successful if you.
Right. It's not going to stand out.
Yeah, exactly. Do something different and unique. So.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you saw this house and you said, okay, I'm going to put an offer on this. What did you guys do? Did you call the listing agent on the property, or did you have your own agent and then make an offer? How did you do that?
Well, we have a family friend that is a realtor in our local area. We live in Catonsville, Maryland, and he's like a family friend. So we asked him, and he then referred us to a realtor out there because each town has kind of their own laws with who can sell things. So he just set us up with this realtor, and she ended up being really great. I mean, we got lucky, but it was a reference. So we trusted our realtor to give us a good person out there. And she really, steered us the right way with, putting the offer in and sticking to our final offer. And and we were able to get it for a really good price. So
Yeah, no, that's great. So, how did you end up funding the deal? Did you do conventional financing, or what happened to that?
so we I'm sure some of the people that listen to your podcast know what house hacking is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that is literally how we funded the deal, because when we bought our primary residence, we bought that in 2014. And it's just a townhouse in Catonsville. And when I was when we were looking for a property for our house to buy, my idea was we want to have like some place where we can have like a basement apartment, so that we can rent that out and as a second income, just kind of as a backup. But also just, I had some friends that I knew that did that, and I'm like, that's so brilliant. Like, someone to
Yeah.
help pay your mortgage or pay your mortgage for you. I mean, that just sounded like a great idea. And so we found a house that needed a lot of renovations. It was really, it was a good price in the neighborhood that we wanted, and the basement was unfinished. And so we bought that house. We put in a basement apartment. It had already a walkout entrance. And so, our thought was, if we can rent this out for 5 years, it would pay for all the renovations we did throughout the entire house. And that kind of helped us get our feet wet with real estate and with being landlords and with, just renting out something. It was something that we had a really great experience with, and it helped us save a lot of money. So that is, by renting that out, we were able to kind of save up a lump sum to put down for the beach house. So the beach house, we just got a standard second home loan mortgage. We didn't have to put 20% down, but what is it called, PMI or whatever? I don't like paying that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in hindsight, I probably should have only put as little down as I can so that I can have more money, because now we're like wanting to buy more vacation rentals and we don't have the capital right now. But we put 20% down, and we had all that money saved up for the down payment as well as for the renovations. And for the renovations as well, that was something that I kind of am like a thrift shopper type. I love looking on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and finding deals. I also like to renovate furniture. I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I enjoy it. I feel I get a lot of gratification out of seeing something kind of distressed, remaking it. It's just like you get that immediate gratification that I really, I think everyone likes some once in a while.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I have a few pieces of furniture that I've done that with in my house when we bought our house. And so I started looking on, Facebook Marketplace and getting a bunch of used furniture that was distressed, and people were giving away for free, or people were giving away really, really cheap, really nice, authentic pieces from the 1950s. And I would take it and I would refinish it and restain it and things like that. So that's how I was able to furnish the house on a really, really tight budget.
Yeah. So because I mean, you might not have had a huge renovation budget when you bought it, but because you're thrifty and everything, you're trying to make do with what you can, and you enjoy doing that. So that enabled you to renovate the house and furnish it, because it has to be furnished, being a vacation rental and everything, right? And that's one thing I'm not sure everybody realize. They probably realize it, but that's probably an added expense that people don't always account for if they're going to have a vacation rentals. Is look, the overhead or the initial startup is going to be more, because you're going to have to furnish it and make it livable and all that sort of thing. So,
a lot of these houses will come fully furnished, and and if you're buying a house in a vacation rental area, which is a good idea to do, just, for all the laws and stuff that are going on right now. But basically, if you buy a house that is fully furnished, what we did is we sold that furniture on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and we used that money that we sold that furniture with to buy the furniture we wanted, because the furniture that it came with was, very, just outdated and not very exciting. So
right. Well, and so, yeah. And then also, with you guys house hacking your first house. So that's a big thing, is a lot of people go and they buy their first house and they get, they're excited to buy the first house. So they get approved for, let's say they get approved for 350,000 and they go, okay, well, that's my budget. It's 350,000. Well, that's fine if you're going to have to put a certain amount down. It's a big down payment. And then you're all of a sudden you're house poor and you got a big mortgage and everything. So me personally, I think if you can either house hack is a great idea, or even renting and buying rentals, you know what I mean? Because people say your primary house is an investment, but it's really not until the day you sell it, right? And only if it goes up in value more than the interest you paid on it. So that was smart of you guys to be able to do that, to set yourself up in the future to be able to buy this first vacation rental, because I'm sure you're not making $1 million a year. I mean, maybe you are, but I mean, I'm not. So
we're very middle class, family. My husband works and serves in the National Guard. I'm a nurse. And when we bought our house, we all, we got pre-approved for a certain amount, and that's the houses we were looking at were at the top of our budget. And I don't know what it was, and thank God that we didn't buy a house in that budget, because I would have never been able to stay at home with the kids if that was the case. And my husband was furloughed for a long time. The only thing that kept us above water was renting out our basement as well. And so, yeah, I mean, we in the end decided to buy a house way below our means. And just keep in mind, okay, let's do something so that if we're able to have kids, I can stay at home and we can be a single income family. And so we made that shift and went from looking at single family homes to looking at townhouses, and we settled in, in a middle unit townhouse, which was not my dream, but I knew that this would, help us be able to, it would help me be able to be a stay-at-home mom when the time came for that. And that's what I really wanted. Yeah. So, and then renting out the basement really helped us be able to save. And, we didn't really know what we were saving for, but we just were saving that. So.
Cool. Okay. So go back to the first vacation rental. You end up buying the vacation rental, you get traditional financing on it. You realize that, okay, in order to stand out above all the other vacation rentals in the area, you need to have a sort of a theme or something that makes it stand out. So you sold all the furniture that it came with. You ended up getting the theme that you liked. You bought new furniture or not new, but refurbished old furniture, re-updated the place. Now, you had mentioned that you started an Instagram when you bought it. And then you also mentioned Superhost, right? So why don't you tell us what a Superhost is on Airbnb, and then how did you kind of get that rating quickly and get your house filled when I'm sure there's other houses in the area that aren't staying filled all the time?
Yeah. So a Superhost in Airbnb, what is, you have to have, I'm not sure if it's 90% 5-star ratings or if it's 88%, but it's some high amount of 5-star ratings. You also have to respond to all of your inquiries. So people will, send you an inquiry about, can I stay here, or ask a question before they want to book. And if you respond to that within 24 hours, so you have to keep a response rate. You also have to have 0 cancellations. You can't cancel on any guests. So if you cancel on a guest, even just once for any reason, then you lose your Superhost status. So I think those are the 3 main things. So that was.
And why would somebody want to be a Superhost?
Well, it helps when in the ranking. So right now, obviously, if you're going to look for a place to stay in Ocean City, Maryland, or someplace, and you're not going to spend a lot of time going through page 15, you're going to kind of look on the first few pages and see what looks good, and then, probably choose from that. So wherever you are, there's probably hundreds and thousands of rentals that are on Airbnb that don't show up in the rankings. You have to go to page 50 or something. So you want to, if you're a Superhost, you'll be up. It'll help you in the rankings. And basically, the higher percentage you have of, one, being able to, someone that inquires and ends up booking, and also your response rate. If you change your calendar often enough, because that shows Airbnb that you're on top of things. That you're looking at your calendar, that you're monitoring it and stuff. then that's going to help you in your ranking. So it's really, you want to be a super host for sure, but you also, being a super host isn't really enough. I feel like you really want to be a super host and on like page 1, or at least right now as far as I look, I go to like different computers to see, like, because I know my computer, since I have a little heart on my my property, it'll
Right.
always show up, But like I go on like other computers when I'm at work, I'm like pretend I'm like just a random person, and I try to see where I rank. And right now I'm ranking on page 1 in Ocean City. And in our Disney house, it depends on when I look. Sometimes I'm on page 3, but Disney is a whole nother ball game, because
Right.
that's like the mecca of vacation rental in the entire universe.
I
So
would imagine, yeah. So what's your Ocean City house called? If some people want to go to Ocean City, they could rent your house.
yeah, well, you know what? It's funny you say that because right now I'm actually doing a huge like marketing, kind of shifting the way I'm running the business, and that I'm trying to get people actually away from Airbnb. We're on Airbnb, we're on VRBO, we're on Booking.com, but I want to be independent, and so I have my own website now, and I actually just launched my website today.
Oh wow, okay.
On my Instagram and Facebook page. So, and we actually have a really good promotion right now going on for the month of November for the website launch. And so I'm trying to get people to actually book through my website. So if you want to look at my beach house or my Disney house, you should go to my website and book through the website, book direct. So,
Yeah, book
and
direct, and
that's it's www.madmenvacationrentals.com.
okay, yeah, and we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. So
Yeah,
sweet, you're trying to cut out that middleman in there and get some
yeah,
more profit.
because the truth is, I mean, they charge the guests more money, right? So they have booking fees. So it can be anywhere from like 5 to 10%, sometimes 12, 13, 14, 15%, that they charge the guests. Of course, they charge me too. They charge me like 2%. It's not that much. I mean, they're getting my name out there, which is great. So I don't, it doesn't bother me that much that I have to pay them a little bit, but it's making the guests have to pay more money. And on top of that, I'm depending my whole business on some platform where who knows what could happen. They could sell it to someone. Something could happen. I mean, all these things going on right now politically, who knows, the main, person, Brian Chesky, in Airbnb, there's, these names of people that own the companies. If something happens where, like they get accused of something crazy or whatever, that whole business could go under. And then
Yeah,
if you're banking on one platform, and that's like our livelihood, then, I think that's unwise. So
yeah.
when you start listening to, people that are like really, really successful in the vacation rental industry, you'll eventually start hearing about the Book Direct initiative, and to get your own website and to try and have people book directly with you and to be independent. Of course, still use the platforms as a tool. It is a tool, and and it is marketing, but you don't want to be dependent on any of them. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense. So how did you kind of go about, because you closed on the property in January 2018, and then by March of 2018, you had it renovated and up and ready, and then you were like booked like right
Yeah.
away. And then for the whole year, you were just like killing it and keeping
Yeah.
it full, right? So how did you do that? What was the steps?
Well, I think there was a few key factors to it. One, I think the fact that we give a lot of good amenities to the guests that guests want. So you need to look at in your area, what amenities do people want? What is, really important? And even think outside of the box, I know like in some, ski resort towns, you want to have a hot tub, and that's like everyone has it. But what is something that someone doesn't have that you can have like kind of a one up? So I think for us having we all are on the bay, so we're waterfront. So all year round, people are, it's still a nice place to go, even if it's cold. People that might not walk to the beach, but just to be on the bay and be able to look out, on the deck and to see the water, is really, really nice all year round. And so I think being on the water was key for us, but also we were not getting the bookings that I wanted right off the bat. So like for summer, for the high season, and and I was getting nervous, and I again, listening to all these people that are really successful, they were saying, you should be pet friendly because so few people do it in the industry. So many people are afraid. They don't want dog hair. They don't want this. They're afraid that there's going to be damage and all this stuff. There's so many people that are doing this in the business that are so old school that if you are doing, the things that people want right now, then you will just be so far above, your competition. So we decided to become dog friendly. Mm-hmm. And right after that, I just started getting all these, bookings for the summer at rates, 3 times higher than what my, the realtors were initially telling me I would be able to get, for my house in my area, in my neighborhood and all stuff, or what we, a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath, property. So, that was really key for us to be pet friendly. A lot of people like to go there with their dogs, especially in the off season, because, in high season, people just like to bring their dogs with them, on vacation. They don't want to put them in a kennel. So that, and then in Ocean City in particular, off season is kind of like dog season because during high season, you actually can't bring the dog to the beach. You can't bring the dog to the boardwalk. But in off season, you're allowed to bring the dog to the beach. You're allowed to bring the dog on the boardwalk. So a lot of people with dogs know that they'll come to the beach in the off season. So we got really well booked for all year round. We were almost all fully occupied all year round, with the exception of like February. So, which is crazy because it's cold in Maryland on the beach.
Yeah. So you made it dog friendly. That was number 1. Number 2, I think you said you started off with like a special super low rate or something like that, right? To get like the word out there.
Yeah. So I just for my followers and stuff, and I would send messages on my own personal Facebook page and stuff. Just saying, hey, I have this deal, tell your friends, tell your family, tag them. And even though, so I had a lot of the people that stayed were friends of friends of friends. And they, maybe my best friend and my grandma and people, they couldn't stay for $25 a night because they were busy. They knew like their friends would want to take advantage. So a lot of people shared it. And I got a lot of people in there right off the bat. So I became a super host the first time around, which I think you actually have to wait. I don't know if it's like 3 months or 4 months before they'll check to see if you meet all the requirements. So that, and I became a super host, and I've been able to maintain that. They check about every 3 or 4 months, I think, to see if you still meet the requirements. So thankfully I've been able to, meet them and stay super hosts, and became a premier partner of VRBO. I went live with VRBO at the end of the high season. And I don't know why. I probably should, in hindsight, I should have started with VRBO, sooner than that, because I've gotten a lot of bookings through VRBO, which has been great. And booking.com, not so much. And, they charge the guests and the hosts, so much that the price usually isn't, I'm not getting as much with booking.com, but
right. Yeah. So how also, I'm sure you have a great rating. So is there something on there? I don't have a vacation rental. So is it something kind of like Google reviews or something where people go on and leave a review? Like, how are you getting your people to leave you reviews? Are they just doing it, or you have a way of like asking them or something in the...
Yeah, so I have all these messages that I give the guests. So, you want to take care of them. So you need to be a good host to begin with. And so if you go in like really trying to take care of them and they know that going into it, a lot of time they have a lot more grace for you if something does go wrong, which does happen sometimes. That's just life. And so I have a guidebook that I make for the guests. So right when they book, they immediately get the guidebook. They can look through it. I give them recommendations of things to do, where to eat. I tell them about the neighborhood, the house. So they kind of start to feel like, okay, we're going to be well taken care of. And on top of that, I basically, just tell them in my messages that I send to them right when they book, and then before they, I give them the code to the house and things like that. I say, if there's anything that is wrong with the house, if you come in and there's anything that you don't like for any reason, it's not meeting your expectations. And I say specifically, if this is not a 5-star Airbnb rating, or if this is not a 5-star VRBO rating, please let me know right away and give me a chance to change your mind and to make it right. And ever since I used those wordings and I said that to the guest, and of course I have to follow through. If a guest contacts me and say, hey, you know, this thing broke or this thing isn't working, whatever it may be, and then I immediately get it taken care of, and I bring them a bottle of champagne and I say, hey, I'm really sorry for this inconvenience. I mean, I don't personally, because I don't live there. I live remotely. But I have my cleaner do that for me and stuff. And
it makes such a big difference to just be like personable and be just a good, like, you know, the customer's always right kind of thing. Because I just had this experience. My wife and I rented a vacation rental in Lake Tahoe. We don't live too far away, but it was like a reputable Lake Tahoe vacation rentals. And we booked 2 nights, but we didn't even stay there the second night because, for one, like the pictures are very, very, um, they paint a better picture than it really is because they're like professional photos that have filters and all this stuff. And then
yeah.
for 2, like the bathroom was moldy and the shower was moldy and the sink was dirty. And
Oh gosh.
I reached out to him several times, like 3 or 4 times in emails, and never responded, never anything. So then eventually I went to Airbnb, and they ended up, Airbnb just refunded me half of my thing back. And I never heard anything from him. And I was thinking, I'll never stay there again, for one. And for 2, like, I know a lot of people that go to Tahoe all the time, and like they're never going to get any of their rentals again. You know what I mean? So it's just that little making sure, take care of just do what you think was right. What would you want them to do to you, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
common sense, it seems, but it makes a world of difference because most people don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you know, things happen and things happen, you know, like with anything on a vacation. I mean, if you go to a hotel, things are going to happen. But if you can have good customer service, and, you know, that's something that, you know, just growing up and learning from being a nurse, learning from, you know, my family, just, you know, responding to things. That's the thing that I get the highest ratings for. So you can get ratings for, like, you know, stylish, you know, clean, all these things, which of course I get, you know, I do get high ratings for that. But the things that people like the most about our place and about me and about staying with us is that I respond the quickest. And that, to me, I think is the most important thing, because, you know, that's the thing that I have the most control over, really. I mean, I don't have control. I mean, my cleaners, I of course tried to get great cleaners. They're not perfect, you know, sometimes they miss something, you know. I try to, you know, just make sure everything is up to date. But it's not always like right now at the beach house. You know, we have brand new carpet when we bought the house. It was only, you know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago we bought it, but it's already needing to be replaced. We have the stuff ordered, it's ready to be installed, but we have so many bookings that we can't install it yet. So, you know, there's the carpet has a few pulls in it and things like that. But at this point, we can't, you know, it is what it is until we get to a week where I can actually have the stuff installed. So there's things like that that will happen. And, but if I can just, you know, preemptive strike things, if there's something going on, like, you know, there's certain seasons where there might be more bugs, there might be ants, there might be this or that. If I can say, hey, there's been an issue with this. If you see a single thing, let me know so I can immediately respond and react to it. Or if they have something that they want to bring to my attention, if I respond literally within a seconds, you know, they are really shocked by that. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you, you know, for responding right away, because they don't realize, you know, because they're probably used to, and that's why, you know, being a super host is good, you know, is a good thing, because people know they can rely on that. But I try to go and be above and beyond, as much as I can for each guest, you know.
Makes sense. Well, and that's why, I mean, it stayed full and it's being successful so far. And then because it's been successful, right, you decided that you wanted to buy more vacation rentals, and you didn't buy another one in Ocean City. You bought one you had mentioned down by Disney World in Orlando, Florida, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you choose? So 2 questions. Why didn't you buy another vacation rental in Ocean City? And 2, why did you end up choosing Orlando, Florida for your second vacation rental?
So we started looking in Ocean City again. A lot of the people I know that I follow that are doing this on social media, that are in like doing podcasts and books, they do one place and they stay in one place because it's a lot easier to do one place. You can use the same cleaners. You can have the same guidebook. You can do all, you don't have to relearn. The taxes is kind of a big deal. You have to do monthly taxes, room tax, and things like that. So it makes it more difficult to run it in different places. But I knew that the key for us in Ocean City was being on the water and having a house on the water, getting a good price, and making the numbers work, because if you really want to do this as a business, and you want to make money, and I mean, for me, I want to make money, but I also, I'm passionate about it. And it's also something that I like really love doing. And I love going to the house myself and enjoying it. And so yeah, I after going through it once and knowing what our return on investment was, I kind of wanted to match that because I knew how much work and what I was pouring into it. And I wanted it to be, worth my while. So there was nothing that I could find at that time. And if there was, the renovation cost would be so crazy. So I was like, let's just look elsewhere. Let's just start looking. So we started looking basically all over Maryland. We actually had another house under contract in another resort town called Deep Creek Lake, which is kind of like the Western Maryland it has like a ski resort and it has a lake, and there's like, it's kind of the people that like the woods, right? They go to the lake, they go to the mountains. So I kind of thought that would be really cool to have like a house on the beach and a house in the mountains, and it would kind of be hitting all of the people in my area. Some people are either beach or mountain people, so I'll be hitting everyone. But that house, the renovation cost was getting really crazy as well because it had like a little tiny home on the property, and the only way it was going to work was if I bought an adjoining lot. And the people that were going to sell me that lot, that told me they were going to sell it to me, told me the day we were flying down to Disney World to take our kids to Disney World for the first time that they weren't going to sell me the land anymore. And that completely changed that property because we needed that to be able to put a separate septic tank. It completely made that property not going to work. So we actually had to back out of that. And I told my husband, we were really bummed. We were really excited about this property. And I told him, you know what, we just, this really, really stinks. And, let's just go down to Disney World and have a really good time, and we'll deal with this when we get home, because we literally found out the day we were flying down to Disney. So we fly down to Disney. We're having a great time until we all get the stomach bug.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Which is, and literally one by one, it was like, it was so crazy. But so we all stay home from the parks. And, we have tickets, but we can't go. We're all just sick. So I can't sit still very long. And I'm down there and we're staying in a vacation rental, right? So we're at this big house. And we're with my extended family. I should say my parents took us. They were really kind to take us all down to Disney, and take our kids for the first time. And so we're staying in this house, and I'm like, what? I wonder what houses go for down here. This, maybe we're down here at this time and this house fell through, and it all was for a reason. And like, we're supposed to get a house in Disney World. So I look on Zillow again, which I know is like, not exactly the place that people look for when they're real estate investors, but this is what I'm doing. And I'm kind of in shell shock by how much house you can get down there for the price, because I'm used to the metropolitan area of like Washington, D.C. and like, housing prices are pretty crazy up where we live.
Yeah.
So down in Florida, you can get like an 8-bedroom house for under $300,000. I'm like, what? So I'm like, I see this house and it looks like it's under market value. Is in like this really cool resort community, that has like, it's gated and it has, resort pool and spa and tiki bar and all stuff that looks really fun. So I just call the lady, because on Zillow will say like contact an agent. So I just called her. I was like, hey, can you show me this house today?
Yeah.
And
they love that too.
Oh yeah. I mean, man, I feel like for our first house we bought, we looked at like probably 100 houses. I put our poor realtor, through so much for our first time. So, but this house, I'm like, I know what I want. I want to buy it. So she wasn't able to show it to me because, for whatever reason, it couldn't be shown at that time. But I could see another, house in the neighborhood that had the same layout. So I went, I looked at it. I was like, oh my gosh, I just immediately got the vision. I got like excited because I love Disney World. And I also wouldn't mind being able to go down to escape some of the harsh winters up in Maryland once in a while and like get a little sunshine. We were down there in January. So we were kind of getting away from the cold in Maryland, and it was nice. It was beautiful. It was sunny. And I was like, oh man, so anyways, I was like, this actually could be really cool. I know what I did in Ocean City, and I felt like I could do it, in Orlando and Disney. It's actually in Kissimmee, Florida. So we decided to put an offer on it, and we didn't even see the house. So we put an offer on it. That actually, like, she didn't really respond. And in the meantime, the reason I liked it is because it had turned a sitting room into an extra bedroom. So it had 8 bedrooms versus 7. And then once after we put the offer on it and she was kind of lingering and not really giving us an answer, she wanted to have more people. There were people flying down to check out the house, and she wanted to wait for them to see it first. So in the meantime, this other house came on the market that didn't have that room, but we found out that it only cost like $1,500 to actually enclose that space and make a bedroom out of it. So I was like, it could be better for us to go for this other property that is the same layout, and we can make the bedroom ourselves. And then we would be able to end up getting it for even less money. So that's what we did. And again, we didn't see the house. I mean, my realtor did a video, like of the house, but we never saw it, but we put an offer on it and we got it. And it was pretty crazy.
So it's perfect. So you end up getting this house that you didn't really see, but you just knew that for one, you would like to go to Disney World. And for two, it's like the vacation rental mecca of everywhere, right? So you get the house, and I'm assuming you did the same thing with this house that you did in the Ocean City house. Is you did something with the decor and stuff to set it apart. So what did you do with that in order to stand out from everything else?
So after we decided to go for another one, I was like, should I like have every house be a different theme, like a different show theme? And I was getting different ideas, but nothing really inspired me that much. And on top of that, it kind of stressed me out. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, why don't I just, we were so successful with this Ocean City house. Maybe I was onto something, and we should just kind of stick with this because this is maybe what people really want. So I made I did like a geometric wall design in Ocean City on the wall, which, was kind of fun and different. I had like certain things, like I had like a hanging chair from like, that was on the deck in Ocean City, but it was still like a bubble chair. That was kind of fun. And I was like, these are, I had like a record player with some records and different little things that were kind of different and unique. And so I wanted to bring those things to Disney, but also have a different kind of style to it as well. So, obviously the beach house is more of a beachy theme. The Disney house, I wanted to make every room based on the Magic Kingdom. I thought, one, I wanted to leave the door open if I wanted to do more. And so I could have every house down there be based on a different park, which is different. A lot of people have rooms that have a Disney theme, but like I hadn't heard anyone that actually had a house that was just based on the park Magic Kingdom, based on the rides and things like that. So I wanted every room to have a theme based on the Magic Kingdom, whether it be a ride or something. As well as not just the kids' rooms. Because a lot of people will have like, a princess room and a Mickey room or something like that. I wanted to have the adult rooms to be themed, but obviously in a, mature and tasteful way. So, so I picked out the rooms, and I just like the idea of like, it sounds really silly, but like a Disney glam kind of feel. Like, so I picked just the colors like silver, gold, and white to do, the main living space area. So I have like, gold and silver and like shades of gold for the geometric wall design that I did. And had those be the accents and stuff like that. So that ended up, just, I don't know, I just had this idea of Disney glam, and it just came together, I think. So.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, and that'd be cool if you can have a bunch of different houses that are all each different world or whatever it's called at Walt Disney World. I've never been there, so I don't know. I don't really know how it is, but maybe I'll stay at your house when I come down there.
Yeah.
Who knows? So how did you do the renovations to the property since you don't live there? Did you hire a contractor to do it, or did you fly down and do it yourself?
Yeah, we for both the Disney for the beach house and the Disney house, we did a lot of the renovations ourselves. Although with the Disney house, the beach house, we painted the whole house ourselves. And after that, I was like, I will never ever
No.
do
Yeah, me neither.
again in my life. Like, I mean, to paint a house head to toe, I mean, it was so much work. I had like blisters. It was like I was up till 3 a.m. every single night. It was crazy. So the Disney house, and that was only a 3-bedroom house. The Disney house was an 8-bedroom house. I was like, there's no way. So we did hire a contractor. And it's scary. I mean, all this stuff, this business is not, for the faint of heart. I mean, you do have to take risks, and it is scary. And like, I'm sitting here, this female, asking these big contractor guys, like what things are going to cost and, what price you're going to give me. And it's intimidating, but, and you're like, are these people going to scam? Are they going to take my money and run? It's scary, but you just have to do some due diligence and just trust your instincts and, ask people, or, like my realtor actually, I mean, she was phenomenal down there, and I trust her completely. And I would ask her, like, what do you think, and she was like, he has like all these businesses. He's not, if he was to take your money and run, he would really be, his reputation would be ruined. So, so I got a contractor down there that, he got people to paint the house, install the light fixtures. I did go down and, I did like the same thing. We actually started stockpiling in our small, 3-bedroom townhouse in Catonsville, like a bunch of furniture and stuff, because I knew in order to do it on a budget, I needed to start buying stuff, on Marketplace and Craigslist and refinishing it. So I started doing that. And so we took a trailer down from Maryland, like maybe 3 times
Wow.
with the stuff that we accumulated, so that we could also do it as much on a budget, because the budget was a lot bigger because it was a bigger house. We had to furnish 8 bedrooms, light fixtures throughout the house, painting the entire house. It had a game room. There was just a lot. So we were able to save, definitely a lot of money. I mean, we got this awesome, Princess Castle bed that if I was to buy a brand new would have costed like $5,000, but I got it, in Pennsylvania by someone that was selling it, and I got it for like $500 and things like that. So
that's sweet. So did you have like a set budget for the house? Like, listen, like, okay, the house price is this much. This is how much we're gonna have to put down. This is our renovation budget. And then did you know kind of how much you were going to make in a year? So your return on your investment, or did you just kind of go in I think this will work?
No, I did run the numbers. After the beach house and how well it did, I think I kind of overestimated a little bit with the Disney house, because the market is different down there. And I am a small fish in a very big sea down there. So, I did, I do still believe that our return on investment, we haven't gotten through a whole year yet. So I can't really, I have projections and I see like, okay, we're like 50% booked right now, in these months, and we're far out. So like, I'm confident, in what my projections are going to be. So, but as for the renovations, yeah, we definitely had a budget, and we definitely went over the budget. So,
With 8 bedrooms, it's a lot.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. And there's just like, going live. And that was the thing, was because it was all the way down in Florida, and, I have 2 kids. I went down there by myself for like almost 2 weeks to finish everything and get it live, so that we could, because I actually already had guests scheduled to come.
Oh yeah.
On like, because I wanted to, again, get people in there right away. And I said, okay, this is our live date. Who wants to stay? This is going to be a really, the first month we went live, our prices were really, really low, and it's in Disney World. So we had a lot of people that wanted to stay and book. And thankfully, the first people were some of our awesome neighbors. And the night, and like literally, I was still like, finishing off the last couple things the day they arrived, and they were really, kind about that.
Cool.
But, yeah. So, I was down there. I flew back once back to Maryland. So I was basically down there for like a month and a half, 2 months.
Holy moly. Well,
Yeah.
and you made it work. So, I mean, I guess you just judge your return based on like how much you're making in a month compared to your mortgage. And then as long as that's working out. And, one thing people think about vacation rentals is if the economy goes down, well, people aren't going to be doing vacations. But I'm sure with the Disney World and even Ocean City is that Ocean City, like staycations or closer to home, people are still going to be doing that, as opposed to doing big trips. And then Disney World, Disney spends billions of dollars every year on advertising. And if a recession hits, it's going to come down, but people are still going to go to Disney World because it's kind of like a once in a lifetime trip, right? So I guess you're kind of hedging your bet that way by being in very popular or, touristy destinations. So that's cool. So where are you guys headed from now? Are you going to continue to buy more houses? Are you going to look in Orlando, or what are you going to do?
So it changes a lot. So like initially it was like, okay, we want like 5 or 6 properties. So there's, we have like our why we're doing this. And so basically, there's a few whys. One why is, just to be an example to my own children that, if you have a dream, if you have a passion, if there's something that you want to do, if you work really hard, then, you can do it. I mean, and that's obviously you have to, know your own limitations, but I wanted to, I want my kids to be able to feel like they can do things and they can follow their dreams. But the other why is for financial freedom, and to be able to have a lifestyle that I really want to have with my family. So my husband, like I said, he works and serves in the National Guard. And because of that, one of our thoughts is that, he can stay in the National Guard and maybe retire from his job. And, with the National Guard, we still get health insurance. So he can still serve his weekends and things like that. But maybe at some point he can, and, at some point we don't know exactly, he really thrives working, and his job and stuff. And it's good for him to be out of the house and doing that. But one of our dreams is to travel with our children and to see the world. I love to travel, obviously, in vacation rental business, you should love to travel, I think. And so our dream is to basically, maybe when our kids are like 13, 14, 15, that like very impressionable age, take the kids out of school, homeschool for like a year or two, travel the world, do the Camino, go around, see all the state parks in the United States and things like that. So if we can have enough vacation rentals that we can basically, have my husband be able to, quit his job and we can just live off of that, that's something that we want to do. So because of that, we are thinking of trying to get a few more properties. So we actually, we're still actually we're waiting on a signed contract. We actually have an agreed offer that just happened like yesterday. So
sweet.
It's not, I haven't even told social media yet because I'm like still kind of worried and paranoid, like, oh, maybe they'll find me and they'll like see, and then they'll back out and they'll like try to get money or something. But there's that resort town called Deep Creek Lake, Maryland, that I was talking about earlier. And because like I said, I had that dream of having a mountain house and having a beach house and then being able to go somewhere south in the winter. And that would kind of like complete the dream and it also like, when it comes to my area, like they call it the DMV, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. So like, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Arlington, Alexandria, Washington, D.C., that whole area. There's a lot of people that live up here in this area. And they, the three places that they want to go is they either go to Deep Creek or they go to Ocean City or they go down to Disney World. I mean, it's like, so if I can kind of hit all those places, I feel like I would be able to capture every single person going on vacation in my area. So, and also I just love the mountains too. And, I love the lake and things, and I would love to have that. So, we are actually going to be building a house, which is really exciting. So we have an offer on land. And again, it's, because I really feel like the key to, being successful all year round and in the off season and, is to be on the water. That was kind of the only way, that it was going to work, is if we buy land on the water and then build a house on the water. So it's really exciting. It's like a really awesome location. It's right at the bottom of Wisp, which is the ski resort. But it's right on the lake. It's really beautiful, magical. Literally, there's like ferns everywhere. And like, I feel like there's like fairies floating around. It's like such an awesome place. So, I've been like waiting all day because they're supposed to sign the contract today. I'm still waiting. They gave us a counter offer. We accepted. So we're still waiting to sign the contract, but that is our next step. So I'm really excited for summer 2020, to have a lake house.
All right. Well, that's exciting. Cool. I can't wait to hear more about it in the future. So what's your favorite resource where you like to go and learn, about, tips and tricks and techniques to excel your business?
Podcast?
Huh? Yeah.
Besides your podcast?
Yeah. Besides my podcast.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I think you definitely want to be as educated as you possibly can if you want to be successful in this business. And so, like I said, there's a podcast that's called Get Paid for Your Pad. They also have a book that's called Get Paid for Your Pad. I listen to the audiobook. That will really help you get started with an Airbnb business. It'll just basically tell you how to write your listing, how to, when it comes to pictures, when it comes to communicating with guests and everything. So that's a really great resource. I definitely did everything that book told me to do. So there's also a podcast that's called Unlocked by Matt Landau. So he is like a guru in the vacation rental, and he interviews different vacation rental hosts that are really successful all over the world. And there's also Vacation Rental Success, which is another podcast, another guru also hosts that podcast, and I've literally listened to every single podcast that they have. So that's basically what I do. Bigger Pockets, that inspires me too, just because these are real estate investments, and I am getting ideas of how to fund these things, because like I said, we're a middle class family. We don't have all this money to just spend on buying houses. So that's really given me a lot of great ideas for how to fund all these things, and how to we're also looking at maybe doing a seller financing deal. We're hoping, we'll see, but that's another thing we're looking at possibly doing in the near future. So
podcasts are pretty much your go-to.
Yeah.
I know it is. Yeah. I love it too. I mean, it's so easy, and you know what I mean? It's it's more interactive, or you feel more connected to the people when you listen to a podcast as opposed to just reading a book. But books are obviously great too. So what about?
The obvious, there's the oh gosh, now I told you that I might have a brain freeze. What's the most popular real estate book that's ever, you should
Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yes, that's it. So
yeah.
That book, and I also listened to that book. I didn't read it, but yeah, that book. If you haven't read that book and you want to get started in real estate in any way, whether it's vacation rentals or not, you need to listen to that book. And I think on YouTube, they actually have someone reading the book. It might be not the entire thing, but it's definitely most of the book. And I think that's where I listened to it. It was just an outdated YouTube video.
Yeah.
Someone reading it, but it's so inspiring. So
definitely. What about a favorite app? Is there an app that you use in your vacation rental business that makes life a whole bunch easier?
Oh man. Instagram
and Zillow, right?
I guess, when it comes to paying people, Venmo and Cash App. Like I have a handyman who literally, he's done so much work for me right now down at the Disney house, because right now we're trying to get up all these really cool murals in the rooms. And so yeah, before I was writing checks to my cleaners, to my handymen, and some of them didn't want to go to the apps, and I was like begging, please, this will make all of our lives so much easier. Thankfully, majority of them have gone to let me pay them through that. So that's huge, being able to pay.
No, I agree with that, because I even pay one of my property managers, like I would always mail her a check, and she doesn't give me like a 1099 or anything at the end of the year. It's kind of just all cash, but I would always send a check. And so I was brought up to her, Venmo. And she didn't end up using Venmo, but she uses what's Zeal or whatever. It's through, all the major banks have it. And it's so easy. As soon as she sends me the invoice, I always make sure right away I get the email, I go right to my phone, boom, in 5 seconds, it's, she gets her payment. So definitely that's awesome. So what about influencers? What's one person that you follow online, like on social media, that you get a lot of inspiration from?
So I'll give a shout out to Optimize My Airbnb, who he also has a book that would be I haven't read it myself because I was kind of beyond that point, but I still think that what he has to say is it would be a great resource if you wanted to get his book if you wanted to start a vacation rental Airbnb business. But yeah, he has a Facebook channel. He has a YouTube channel, as well as he's on Instagram, and he does stories and will just he goes around the world and stays at Airbnbs, and he rates them, and he helps optimize people's Airbnbs, so you can pay him to help you have a more successful Airbnb business and stuff like that. So I follow him, and he has just really great advice and great things that he mentions, and little tidbits. So yeah, those, I would say, the people that like the podcasts I listen to, they don't have as much on Instagram as being an influencer, but what they have to say in the content of what they have in their podcast is invaluable. So I would definitely, be looking at those as well.
Cool. Perfect. Well, Rebecca, I appreciate you being here. This has been cool. Hopefully it can help people get started in their vacation rental, and some tips to how to be a superhost, or how to get your property ranked a little bit higher. Again, where can people find out more about you? Instagram and your website, and anything else you want to add?
Yeah. Well, I will say, first of all, I'm trying to reach 1,000 followers in 2019. It's been my goal, and I'm so close. I'm like 70 or 80 people short. So definitely, if you're feeling generous, go to Instagram or Facebook. I have my Facebook page is not, I have 450 followers and stuff. So I'm not as worried about that. But Instagram, follow me on Instagram. It's at Mad Men Vacation Rentals. So you can follow me, and you also find out about promotions and deals on our locations, our vacation rentals. Follow our journey. I have little bits about my family, about I have twins, and they're adorable, so you can see them. You can so I don't have a time to have my own personal page and a business page, so I just do it all together. So there's a little bit about our family life, there's a little bit about our vacation rental business, and then there's also promotions and deals and stuff. So my website also, we just went live. We can book directly through the website. And it is, if you book direct through the website, not only is it the lowest rates, so our prices are lower than Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. You also save on the service fees that they charge you. And if you are looking at booking a vacation in Disney World or in Ocean City, Maryland, sometime in the next year, you should book this month through my website, because you'll get an additional 10% off. That's my promotion that I'm having right now. You just have to go to the Inquire and Book page on my website and send me a message so I can give you that extra 10% discount, because I'll have to add that in manually to your reservation. And let's see. Oh, I wanted to say, just to all the moms out there, and the women out there in the world, in the real estate investing world, that want to do this, I think that I'll just say that if I can do this with twins, with, if I can do this, then you guys can do it too. And I really just, I hope and pray. I was so nervous about this, this podcast.
You did great.
Justin, you've been so awesome. So you really helped me, but just, I really just am hoping that I can, be an inspiration to someone out there, just to, you can do it. You can, if you want to do a little side hustle, and if you want to start a little business as a stay-at-home mom, I think this is a really, really awesome way. This is a booming business. I mean, everyone is talking about how scary it is right now to get into real estate because, we're about to get a crash and, all this fear. The vacation rental business is not that. It is a booming business. If you want to get in, now is the time to get in. And you will be if you can do the things that I was saying, not that I'm an expert, but if you can learn from the best of the best, learn from those people that I mentioned, you will be so above so above everyone else out there. And you can, really make a successful business right now in this industry. And now's the time to get in. So I hope people do.
Cool. Well, Rebecca, thank you very much for being here. I'm sure people learned a bunch from this episode. And I look forward to hearing where you go in the future. And thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.